Hi, my name is Robert Vons, and we are back with another edition of the Aquinas 10. And today we got Arnold Thimons with us, who is the campus president for CMVC Kendall. Arnold, tell us a little about yourself. Tell us what you do here at CMVC.
Well, like he said, my name's Arnold Thimons. I've been with CMVC for a year and a half, but I've been in education for close to 17 years. I'm the campus president, and in a nutshell, just make sure that the entire campus, every department runs efficiently.
We're going to be doing some trainings next week. If somebody's going to be working in a school system, what is something that you think, what are the characteristics somebody needs to have to be super successful to work in a school system?
I think one of the biggest characteristics that I look for when I'm hiring somebody to work at our schools and our campuses is empathy. You may not understand how that really translates to why it would be a good employee, but everything we do is student-centric. And if you don't have empathy for what the students are going through and the trials and the tribulations, the obstacles that they're facing, then you're not going to understand what they're going through to try to be successful here at our school.
No.
So they got to have empathy to deal with our students.
I 100% agree. You know what's funny about our openness? Like, because I think me and you are a lot alike. I tell Lyd, who's our camera person, right? Lyd does all of our social media, so if you see any of our stuff, it's always Lyd. I always invite her into our board meetings, don't I?
Yes, you do.
So I invite her into the board meetings. I invite our social media person into our board meetings because I don't care what they record. Because half the time, when we're having to make a tough decision, we always say, what's in the best interest of the student?
Always.
And that's how we make our decisions. And I think that that's pretty powerful to say that that's how we act behind closed doors.
Absolutely. And if you don't have somebody who's empathetic, they'll never understand that. They'll question the decisions you make and say that's not a good business decision. And sometimes it's not going to be a good business decision. It's going to be a decision that's best for the student body.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So I have a few rules that I always like my teachers to go by. I always like them to be standing up in the classroom. I always like them to be the first one that's there. And I want to make sure that they're engaging their students. Those are my go-tos, always looking for what I want our faculty to be doing. What's something that you always push your faculty to make sure they do?
Well, you hit on three really good ones. I'm not a big stickler on standing up, but I like that. I would say the biggest thing that I push our faculty, especially the nursing faculty, is to be there for the students one-on-one and understand, because students are different. They all have something different that is stopping them from being successful, or on the flip side, we have a lot of students that are successful. So I want them to meet one-on-one with those students and understand their individual needs. That's what CMVC is about, is any school can enroll students and they can continue to teach in mass, but not everybody will take students one-on-one and understand their individual challenges and then help them overcome them.
Right.
So I love the fact when I see my nursing faculty especially sitting one-on-one, remediating tests, understanding and saying, this is your soft spot. This is where you need to focus. And when they do it, they seem to become a little more successful.
I agree. Yeah. Obviously, when you walk the halls of CMVC Kendall, you see a great company culture. Like, people are smiling, people are happy to be here, and people are working hard. What do you attribute that to? What built your culture?
Yeah, I'm going to have to take some credit for it.
Yeah.
When you invited me down here a year and a half ago, I remember being discussed that the biggest hurdle I might have is the culture/language barrier. Unfortunately, I'm learning, but I don't speak Spanish very well. And I would say 99% of our employees do speak Spanish as their first language. So I had to cross those barriers. And I think you do that with trust. You got to get your employees to trust you first. And once you get them to trust you, you back up your words. So you let them know that there's no job that's too little for you. I know there's been many a times that I have spent cleaning the bathrooms.
Yeah.
You do what it takes to let them see you say, this guy's in it to win it.
Yeah.
And once they see you, they start to get that and follow you.
Yeah.
So that's what's built our culture. It's like a family now. It couldn't be better. But it didn't come overnight. It didn't come organically.
You know, and by the way, this is going to get weird, but the reason I brought you down here is because of who you are. Like, I knew I knew we were growing something big. Like, I knew we were going in a different way, and knowing that I had to have somebody lead the people that I led this far. Like, it had to be somebody special, and that's why I asked you 14 times to move to Miami.
Yeah. Well, listen, there was no one I wanted to come down more than you. I respect you, and I always tell people that what you're doing with Aquinas and what you're doing with the CMVC network is next level education.
Yeah.
It's so exciting to be part of, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, last question I have for you. What's one thing that you think is great about CMVC?
Poof. Tough to narrow that down. If I was to put it in a broad sense, I would say the best thing about CMVC is the way we service this community down here. What we do is changing lives in this community, in the communities we service. I see it every day. I talk to students every single day, and you see the passion, you see the commitment, and you see what it's going to do to change their lives. And to me, I've never been part of a school system that actually is tailor-made to the communities they service, and that's what I love about them the most. There's so many things I could say, but that, for me, is the best.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, so we're going to get a little selfish here. I want to talk a little bit about the Aquinas Network and the partnership that you have with the Aquinas Network. You've been here when we had the old brand, that old green logo, to now when we have our new blue logo. Yeah. How do you think that branding, first off, how do you think the Aquinas Network did on that branding? And how do you think that branding has affected the organization as a whole?
So it's odd, because when you start with just a logo change, you think, what impact's this going to have? So when we went from the old logo to the new logo, obviously I like the new logo, but you're expecting what's going to happen, right?
Right.
It wasn't the logo. The logo was the start to say, we're changing a mindset here, right? This logo is a symbol of us changing a mindset, the way we're going to approach everything, the way we're going to just approach students and education. When Aquinas came in and started providing all of the resources that they have, the marketing, the social media, the advertising, it's taken our school to the next level.
You've obviously been working with our pre-admissions team for quite some time now, a little bit over a year. I'll tell you the one thing that I like the most about our pre-admissions teams is the analytics they provide. So they literally every day send you reports on how many appointments they set, how many showed up, and what your schedule looked like the next day. I think that that's invaluable. What's one thing you would take from the pre-admissions team? What's one thing that you think is great about what they do?
Well, the analytics are just recording what they're actually doing, the behaviors. Yeah. So the analytics are good to see, but it's the behaviors behind those analytics that is what's tremendous about the pre-admissions team. They work hard, and they get the job done, and they create opportunities for our schools here in Southern Florida. So, I mean, the analytics are great to look at, but it's the work behind those that's amazing. And I think that they're just doing everything with good leadership. They're doing everything in their power to generate opportunities.
How do you think, because the other thing I'd say about the pre-admissions teams, they're beyond coachable. Like, they're trained just as well as all of our admissions staff. They're coachable. I'll tell you from my standpoint, I was skeptical of doing this a little bit. Because how many times have we used pre-admissions teams?
Yeah, not too many. 5
or 6 companies that we've used in the past that didn't work. But the partnership with the Aquinas Network and CMVC is seamless. We treat them like they're our own employees, and that's what gets the job done.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. You touched on it. Me and you have a long history in education, dating back 16, 17 years. But that's education in the United States, and that's with pre-existing, educational systems. I think me and you know a lot about admissions and online admissions and everything that's out there. But when you present that to current people that have been working in the, let's say, the United States market, they don't seem to accept it that well. They don't think we're as good as we really are. But when you get down to the Aquinas Network and their pre-admissions team, they were sponges.
Yeah.
Everything we provided to them, they were like, yes, that's new. And they took it and implemented it, and it makes all the difference.
Yeah. All right. What's one thing that really makes CMVC stand out in the community, other than all the great things you've already said?
Sure. I think the only last thing that really makes us unique and make us stand out is our diploma programs medical assisting, dental assisting, patient care tech, our students graduate with 0 federal student loans.
That is probably hard to say about all the other schools.
Yeah.
That really probably makes CMVC different than everybody else.
Sure. And I think that alleviates such a burden from our students when you leave here, hopefully with your diploma, and you have no loans to pay back.
Yeah, that's great. All right, thank you. This has been another edition of the Aquinas 10 with Arnold Thimons and CMVC. For more information about what we do, click the link below.